Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
We're here at the Armenian Genocide Memorial. It's a powerful museum. If you ever get the chance to come here, you need to do it and understand really the attacks against Christianity over time. Three things that I took away from going to this memorial in the museum. Number one, the attacks on Christians have been going on for a lot longer than we realize. It's a thing and has been happening for some time. Number two, don't ever give away your guns, because these people were disarmed and this is what happened to them. And number three is look at all of the continuing attacks on Christianity across the world and ask yourself why. Why did the vaccine and the COVID virus only affect Western Europe and primarily North America? And why did it not impact Africa and other places? Because they're targeting the Christian countries. That seems to be obvious to me. So I would ask you to just open your mind to what's going on in the world and look at the bigger picture and work to help save and restore Christian communities around the world. Thank you.
Welcome back to Whistleblower Wednesday, folks. The Rob Maness Show is live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. Wow. Christian persecutions in the cauldron of the Middle East and beyond are still a thing. With President Trump's historic peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, though, we might have a good chance that there will never be or never need to be a Christian genocide memorial built in future generations. But only if humanity teaches our children about it and ensures they understand why that tragedy and other genocides have happened. Unfortunately, in this part of the world, Christians are continuously under attack. Listen to this, and I quote, "The Islamic persecution of Christians in the Arab Muslim world has reached a level of genocide. But no one in the media or the international community seems to care," close quote. That's from my ex-follower, Liza Rosen, in Israel. And I think she's correct in her assessment. In Lebanon, once the only majority Christian country in the Middle East, Christians continue to be persecuted. That is why the destabilization of Syria has only increased massacres of Christians and other minorities. But the so-called mainstream media just doesn't really cover the story enough, so most people in the West have little to no idea this is actually happening. Well, my friend and contributor to this show quite often, L. Todd Wood, is covering this, though, and so are we. Todd joins us today to discuss the current situation on the ground in Beirut, Lebanon, and out in the communities there. He's a former special ops pilot, helicopters, and CEO of CDM Press. His mission is to report the truth, as is ours. Unfortunately, as America's free press should be, what we're doing to protect our way of life. But the corporate media is not, obviously. Todd, welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. Hopefully we got you. I know you're in Beirut, so...
Well, I'm coming to you from the Lady of Our Well convent in north of Beirut in the mountains because an American journalist was kidnapped here a few days ago. And so the guys I'm working with brought me up here for safety reasons, security. It's very beautiful, peaceful, secure. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So I'm having meetings here, but going out into the community with protection and meeting the people. I just got back. That's why I'm late. I was with a professor at one of the major universities here for dinner, and it went a little long, so I didn't mean to scare you there, Rob, but I made it.
You're not going to scare me. I'm a bomber weapon systems officer. I'm used to taking shots and having to get through it without being afraid. The question for you, that opening clip, I wanted to show it, even though you're in Lebanon right now, but in July you were over in Armenia when that was shot at the end of July. And I have a lot of really good Armenian friends. And I wanted to, just before we dive into Lebanon and the surrounding area in Syria and all that, I have a lot of Armenian Christian friends. Many have worked for me in the past 15 years, and I'm still very close to them. And I've always been concerned about Christians being massacred, not in the history. People knowing about that, yes, but it's still happening quite often in that part of the world. So I was really pleased when President Trump was able to swing this peace agreement between the Armenians and Azerbaijan. I wanted to get, since you've been there recently, I just wanted to get your take on that, what you think the impact is going to be. And is my gut feeling right that that's going to help stem this for the future?
Well, it definitely, and you're talking about the Zangezur corridor, or better known as the Trump route for international peace and prosperity. It cuts along the southern tip of Armenia, which is a finger that goes down to Iran, and it connects mainland Azerbaijan with an Azeri exclave, Nashatan or something like that. And so it is, it's a 20-click wide corridor, or maybe it's several clicks wide, over 5. I know, maybe I have the exact, it's 20 and 7 or something like that, I remember. But it is going to be railways and highways and gas lines and all kind of things. It's right on the Iranian border, though, and the IRCG and their proxy armies have a pretty good history of kidnapping, American contractors, because there is going to be American contractors on the ground owning this. We're leasing it for 100 years. So it is going to be a soft security guarantee for the Armenian Christian population, which is a good thing. But there's also worry that, we're taking more Armenian sovereignty away from the country after they lost Nagorno-Karabakh a few years ago, after the Turkish genocide, where they lost Mount Ararat, which is their ancestral home, which is now inside of Turkey, where Noah's Ark allegedly resides. So Armenia was the first Christian country. People need to know that. I didn't know that until I started looking into it. I've always been curious about the frozen Soviet conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. So I've always wanted to go, but this was, I just decided to do it because I started seeing patterns. I'm very close to Bob Amsterdam, who is the attorney for the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and I've seen what they're doing to the church in Ukraine. They're doing the exact same thing in Armenia and in Romania. So you have 3 countries in that region where they're destroying the original Christian church of that nation, literally destroying it, taking it, burning it, putting the leaders in jail. Armenia, they're about to put the Catholicus in jail, who's the head of the church, because he's a Russian agent. Where have you heard that before? So it's the same playbook, Rob. And my real concern in Armenia is that Pashinyan, the president, or the prime minister, is a globalist. He's bringing in migrants. He's doing the globalist playbook, destroying the church. I'm not sure Trump knows this. So Bob Amsterdam was actually hired by the Armenian Orthodox Apostolic Church to come in and fight for their rights, like he did in Ukraine. So I've talked with him extensively in Armenia. They actually threatened him. You can find that on our website. The Ukrainians put the target list up, which was their assassination list, where multiple people were assassinated on that list. Well, they're doing the same in Armenia. They put a big red X in his photo. That's straight out of the same playbook, Rob. So it's a concerning situation. The problem is Armenia, they don't have any gas. They don't have anything to give except their land. So that's the concern.
So what about in Armenia and that area right there, as part of this peace deal? Did you see any type of security guarantees for the Armenians and are most Christians part of the Armenian Orthodox Church in the country?
It's like 98%. It's pretty solidly Christian in Armenia. Of course, there's various, it's like, you have different levels of Catholics, cafeteria Catholics, hardcore Catholics, you have the full range. But this is
I can't use those terms, Todd. I'm not a Catholic. But I got you.
I'm not either. I'm a Presbyterian.
Okay.
But it's but everybody here is like Christianity. If you're a Christian, we're good with it. So there's really not that IRA kind of level of animosity here between the different sects of the faith. But Armenia is a Christian country. It is the Apostolic Church. I went to Etchmiadzin outside the capital, where Bartholomew, one of the disciples, literally brought the spear that speared Christ, and it's in the museum at the church. So, allegedly. So this is where it all started, right? So to destroy it is not a good thing. And it's happening elsewhere in the world. We can talk about that.
Well, yeah. The most notable church that's been destroyed is Sophia Hagia and I know I'm not pronouncing that right. Yep. Look, my family's from Southwest Tennessee and South, so we don't pronounce that. But I really respect it, and that's been turned into a mosque, apparently. And I think that's one of the oldest churches in Christianity, right?
I was there. Well, it was the seat of the Byzantine Empire. It's where Eastern Rome. It's a beautiful church. When Vladimir the Great, who was in Kiev, which was Kievan Rus, originally where Russia started, wanted to make his country religious, he sent out his emissaries all over the world, to Jewish faiths, to Muslim parts of the world. He sent them to Hagia Sophia, which means his truth or something like that, and or his wisdom, I think. The emissaries came back to the Vladimir the Great, who's the founder of Kievan Rus, and they have a statue of him in Moscow as well. And they told him the buildings were so beautiful, I didn't know whether or not I was in heaven. So that is why Vladimir the Great made his country Christian. He said it must be the best religion if that's the case. So it was an incredibly beautiful building, but you can see the mosque from the Ottomans, the paint coming off, and the brilliant Christian frescoes behind it. So it's quite a stunning facility still, but it's sad because I wrote an article about this. I was just there a few days ago, that it's a den of thieves. It literally is. You go from Armenia, which is a very Christian, kind, caring country for the most part. There's always bad people, but and even my team remarked about this, not me, and they said we got in the cab in Turkey and it was immediately like a survival experience. Like, are we going to make the cab ride? Is he going to rip us off? Where is he taking us? He's 3 times charging, he's trying to get our card details. He's trying to get our phone number, all this, so and that's like on steroids outside the Hagia Sophia, because it's just, it's like the money changers in the temple. It's pretty wild. Yeah,
it is. You mentioned the globalists and the immigration stuff, in Armenia. Is he bringing in Islamist immigrants, like what's happening in a lot of the Western countries?
It's mostly Indians, low-skilled Indians. But that's the playbook, right? You bring in labor, you destroy any history and religious affiliation in the country, and then you weaken the society. You cause race riots or race wars. You split the people and you dumb them down in the education and take away their history. That's what's going on, and I hope Trump understands that. I'm glad the Armenians have peace, because there was talk of war when I was there again by the Azeris, which are being funded, armed with very high technology by the Israelis. So against the Christians in Armenia. So, go figure. it's a crazy world.
Really
right now.
Strange. Yeah. Yeah, I had read that too. It's really strange. So we got to take a break, Todd. When we come back, I want to turn to Lebanon and Syria, that immediate part there, because it's happening again. And we'll see a little clip from, I think, Brigitte Gabriel on the way back in with L. Todd Wood, CEO of CDM Press on the ground in Beirut. We're live here on World YouTube.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
I come from a country, Lebanon used to be the only majority Christian country in the Middle East. Most people don't know that. When they think of the Middle East, they think it's all Islamic countries. But Lebanon is the only majority Christian country in the Middle East. We were open-minded, we were fair. We prided ourselves on our multiculturalism. We welcomed everyone to our country, especially from the surrounding Arabic countries, because we wanted to share with them the westernization which we had created in the heart of the Middle East. Muslims used to send their children to come study in our universities because we had built the best universities in the Middle East. They graduated and worked in our economy because we had built the best economy in the Middle East, even though we did not have any oil. Lebanon was known as Paris of the Middle East, the banking capital of the Middle East. And as Christians, we focused on education. Education was very important to us. You know, we educated girls and boys, you know, no difference. We were living the good time. Unfortunately, all that began to change by the 70s because of two things. The enlargement of the Islamic population in Lebanon, because we Christians marry one spouse until death do us part. We don't have many kids. Muslims, on the other hand, are allowed to marry up to 4 wives at a time. Now, of course, not all of them do it, but enough of them do it that in our country, in Lebanon, by the 70s, the Muslims became the majority. And once they became the majority, they started massacring the Christians and killing the Christians.
Show. It's Whistleblower Wednesday, and we're talking with my friend L. Todd Wood, the CEO of CDM Press, former special ops helicopter pilot, amongst the many other things. He's also one of his own journalists, and he's traveling in Beirut, Lebanon, and has been traveling in the area by Armenia, Turkey, in those areas this summer. So we've got him on the line from Beirut. And Todd, I just wanted to show that clip, Brigitte, to give a little bit of the historical context to people from somebody that was there. And that is, we were talking about the globalists, mass migration, illegal immigrants and all that. And one of the worst policies is to allow Islamists to immigrate freely, or legally or not, illegally, into a country that was once a Christian majority. And what Brigitte describes is exactly what we've seen historically, isn't it?
Well, I want to talk pattern recognition because you see patterns here. And any Christian, I just had a dinner with someone who was talking about this. When you have a very strong Christian country, it has to be destroyed and attacked by some forces globally. And Lebanon has been systematically taken apart, and I believe it was intentional over a few decades. You had the civil war. First, you brought in 500,000 Palestinians and just dumped them in, because I guess they came out of the Israeli territories. And so they had to go somewhere. So you put them with the Christians. You don't put them with the Arabs where, like the same people they are. So they put them in Christian Lebanon, and it was like 70% Christian at the time. And now it's 40%. But so that caused the civil war, which devastated the economy, devastated its infrastructure, its institutions.
Then you had a Soros revolution starting in 2019, which was kind of a color revolution against the government, a financial collapse. Then you had 2 million Syrians come in, allegedly fleeing from Assad, that were Shia. So this is the Hezbollah faction. So you've got millions of people here that weren't from this area. Of course, generations have been born here now. But it is, the Christians are very worried. And frankly, I don't hear the Trump administration banging their bully pulpit about this. And I see, and the Christians here will tell me, I'm talking to political leaders, very high senior political leaders, and they're telling me everybody always has another country as a priority, or another group of people, whether it's the Turks to help them, stay in NATO, whether it's, the Azeris, whether it's the Saudis or the Israelis. And they're saying it's always about Israel or somebody else. It's never about the Christians in their own country. It's the concerns, the security concerns of Israel. But what about, and they're not anti-Israeli. They're just like, look, we need to take care of our own for once. Where have you heard that before? Sounds very familiar. But they're frustrated. They're angry. They're worried that this new push to disarm Hezbollah is going to lead to a civil war, because 40% of the Lebanese army is Shia. It's very weak already, and you're going to tell a Shia soldier to go, fight Hezbollah? They're worried this is going to start a big civil war, disintegrate whatever stability they still have. And I don't hear Morgan Ortagus or Tom Barrack banging the table about saving Christian Armenia. They're more concerned about other things, which is, I know they have other concerns. I'm not faulting that. And this may work, but I can tell you there's a lot of concern right now about this. Yeah.
Does the State Department have a group that focuses on this issue? Because, I just learned today from Laura Loomer. I know some people hate Laura Loomer, but she puts out some information. She puts out information that's factual, that's important for people to know about it, be able to do something about it. That says that there's a Palestinian Affairs Office in the State Department, and we don't need that, but this would be a good thing to have. A Middle Eastern, maybe a Christian Affairs department or office somewhere in the State Department that's tracking on all this, because when you focus in on just like a country like Lebanon, you start getting into all the other secular issues that go along with it. So you got to have somebody, a team that's focused on this issue holistically, I think, because I think we miss a lot. We miss the attacks on Christians in Syria. I know that I don't know any other reporters that have gone to Lebanon to talk specifically to the Christian community and investigate what's happening there post the Iranian war, where America and Israel took Iran's capabilities down to the lowest they've been in decades and everything. So the lack of information in this space, both media-wise, public information, but also information our government that we're paying should be paying attention to, so that they can raise the alarm and put priority on things like this. I would guess that it's probably a lack of something like that apparatus that's going on in the State Department.
There's probably a lot of that, but I, from the pattern recognition standpoint, I have to think there's some kind of global effort to weaken Christianity substantially, if not destroy it in certain countries. And you look at Syria, you mentioned, I spoke with a Syrian Christian survivor this morning, and a group of them, and they're telling me that there's only like 15 Christian families left in Syria. It used to be a huge population. They've all been killed or they fled. And they said, we were safe under Assad. We could have our community. They left us alone. We went to church. We educated our kids. We didn't have this overbearing, Muslim fundamentalism. But that all changed. And you know what she said? She said, the one girl told me the Russians came and helped us. They provided money. They built buildings. And she said, now we live in a medieval society, and I'm scared to go outside because I'll be beaten if I'm not, dressed the right way. And all my family is dead or they're left. And so it's pretty shocking. And she also, it was a group of them, but they told me, the Aramaic language, which was the language of Christ, is going away. There's only 1 or 2 villages left, and they've all been destroyed. I mean, that's the origin of the faith, and it's literally being destroyed in front of us. And I know there's a Lebanese desk in the State Department. I doubt there was a Christian focus anywhere. But there should be, and and we're going to just try to apply media pressure to all this. There should be we're a Christian country. So why aren't we protecting Christians? Why aren't Protestant, Catholic ministers, priests screaming about this? When you have thousands of Christians being slaughtered, we're going to Nigeria next. And I don't know the exact date, but same thing. There's patterns here, right?
Yeah.
So it has to. We need to be aware of that and start pressuring our leadership to do something about it. I mean, this is our history, our heritage. Most Americans still, at this point, I think we're still a 70% Christian country.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we got a hand up in the audience. Let's go ahead and take a question from them before we get to this next break. Go ahead, Shell.
We have True MAGA, sir.
Thank you. I just want to push back a little bit. I have total respect for you, so I hope you don't get mad at this. But I think, in the cowboy days, we didn't really give a crap about all these other countries. We didn't waste America's time, energy, and money on this bullshit and foreign wars everywhere. And I'm totally sick of it myself. I'm sick of seeing homeless people all over the street. I think we need to focus on our Christian people in this nation, number one only, like Rob says, the other Rob. And
did we lose him?
I just wanted to throw that in. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, you kind of got cut off there, True MAGA, but I think I got the gist of it. Your thoughts, Todd?
Well, I don't disagree with him. We need to protect our border first, build our country first, and I don't want any other Americans over there fighting these wars. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about it and raise the issue and say, because we're spending a lot of money on other countries that aren't Christian. So, and a lot of effort and a lot of focus. So I would agree with him in the macro sense, but what I'm seeing is a macro effort to destroy Christianity globally. And when you look at what's happening, it could happen here too. I think that you've already seen it happen here too. The deplorables, all of that, God's, their guns in their Bibles or whatever Obama said. There's been an effort to go after it here too, and it's going to come. So why not face whatever it is, and shut it down?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I'm the same view. In the macro sense, I agree. We should be focusing at home. My goodness, we're on the cusp of having an Islamist communist mayor of New York City. A Somali Islamist is mayor of Minneapolis, and there's one, I keep forgetting the name of there's some place in Texas, I think, that's close to that too. And we've got to focus here, but I'm not opposed to raising the alarm and publicizing this to try to put pressure on the evil people that are trying to do this too, so that there's a public awareness about it. Because the function of publicizing something and telling these stories is not just about getting the tax dollar to go do something. That's not really what I'm advocating for. And what I'm advocating for is to get eyeballs on this in the millions, because lots of things happen. Here's one of them. It's about money. Charities. Americans give more to charities than any other nation in the world. And if they know about something like this, like we're going to show some more clips during the show, like what's happening in Syria and Lebanon and Armenia and around the world. Really, I look forward to you reporting from Nigeria. And I think in the Congo that there's a huge number of Christians being massacred. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Do I have the right country?
Yeah.
Recently, so getting eyes on it and publicizing it is what we're about more. I'm not calling for troops or any of that stuff, but we do have this Department of State that we pay for, and that's one of its damn functions. So let's get on with it and put it to the use that it's intended to be. And we are a a majority Christian nation. Christians like you and me should be paying attention to this, and our priests, preachers, reverends, ministers all ought to be yelling from the pulpit. And now they can, because Trump's IRS has finally said you can do political stuff from the pulpit. Why aren't you guys doing it? That's my question to you. We got to take a break. We'll be right back, and we'll show another little clip, this time about how Christian Lebanon was destroyed, I think. We'll be right back.
We suffered in Lebanon back then in the 70s and the beginning of the 80s, the same thing that happened on October 7th in the south of Israel.
What do you mean?
When the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, that is known as terrorist organization.
Yes, liberation, misleading term in that context.
Exactly. But when they were kicked out of Jordan because they were terrorizing the king and they tried to assassinate his life twice, so the king of Jordan had enough and he kicked them out of Jordan with Yasser Arafat and his associates, if you want to call them like that. And they were relocated in south of Lebanon. Basically, what Jordan, Egypt, and Syria did is force Lebanon's hand to accept this terror group to relocate in their territory in order to attack Israel from its territory. But the Palestinian terror organization didn't stop with that.
And the Lebanese population very much regard the PLO as being this hostile intrusion from outside that had come to destabilize the peace within Lebanon?
Exactly. And they didn't want them there. So that's why there were a lot of militias starting to form in that time to kind of fight back against the PLO that started to relocate in the Christian villages, in the Shia villages, and they started to protect themselves. That's why my father joined the South Lebanon Army, because he wanted to protect his family and our home and our land. That was something that they did, and they realized that the only thing that they can do is to actually ask Israel for help.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Whistleblower Wednesday, and we're talking with the CEO of CDM Press, who is traveling right now, is in Beirut, Lebanon, about Christian persecution in that area and how it's at genocidal levels. And the rest of the world's not really aware of it or paying attention to it. Todd Wood is my guest today. Todd, I wanted to show that clip again because that young guy, I think that's from 2024, late 2024. That young man, Jonathan, there is being attacked and bullied by pro-Palestinian people in the United States and around the world because he's telling the truth about what happened in Lebanon with the PLO.
Well, you know, this all ties together. I didn't know, but before I went to Armenia, I started doing a lot of research, and I didn't realize that during the Armenian genocide 100 years ago, around 2015 or 1915, where 2 million upwards of, and there's a big Armenian population in Lebanon, in Syria, because they literally drove them across the desert to their deaths, and 95% of them died. And the ones that made it, they just left them in the desert to die. So there's a huge Armenian population down here, but the outcry in the U.S. was huge. And I'm reading history books about this. And by the way, you should read old books because the books today don't tell you anything.
Yeah.
But there was a huge outcry in the U.S. for the Armenian genocide against the Turks. There was charities built. There was preachers talking. There was government action. There was lady societies being formed to protect Armenian Christians, and then the orphans after all the parents were killed. So this is not something that hasn't happened before in the U.S. is my point. And yes, Lebanon, I think, is being intentionally destroyed. That was phase one. The 2 million Syrian Shia Muslims that came in during the Syrian civil war was phase two. Then you had the engineered financial crisis, phase three. And now, maybe you have something else coming. It's to weaken the country. It's to eventually make it soft enough to take their land, whoever that's going to be.
So where are the 40% of the population that's Christian in Lebanon? Where are they located in particular areas, or are they spread out everywhere in the cities and the countryside, or are they in like a large enclave type situation?
Well, there's different districts. The north of Beirut, where I am now, is heavily Maronite Catholic and Orthodox, and so I've been interacting among them for the past week, and there are other outside Lebanon or outside Beirut. I have not mapped it out, but there are enclaves. That's what we're doing tomorrow, and then over the weekend we're going out into the countryside and meeting different people and different. I'm meeting the patriarch of the Armenian Church here over the weekend, I think. And just really trying to get a feel of the religious leaders and what can we do to help get their message out, so at least there's an awareness of what's happening.
You're staying in a convent. Have you been able to talk to the leadership of the sisters, or at least at the worker level, or lay people, about what the situation is?
Yeah, and the people, I came here to converse and get to know the Christian community here. So they are the ones that put me here when that guy was kidnapped. And I'll just say they're very kind people, it's very peaceful here. It's very giving. They feed you tables full of food. It's just a really positive experience. So I'd never been to a convent before, but so I didn't know what to expect, but it's very positive.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I saw your post about it, I was like, wonder how you ended up there. Now I know. Yeah. So what happened with the reporter that was kidnapped? How did that occur? There
was an American journalist who was taking photos down near one of the Shia areas, and I drove through the Shia area briefly just to see with a Catholic friend of mine. He didn't want to stay too long, but we went through, and I saw a lot of the buildings that were bombed by Israel. They're still collapsed in the middle of this is South Beirut. So, but I guess a guy was down there taking pictures and was, taken. They got him back like a week later. He was interrogated and released to Lebanese authorities, which is good. But it is a sporty situation here, put it that way.
Yeah, I would imagine that's South Beirut. That's probably where that big underground complex was, underneath buildings and stuff, that they kept killing the old leader, and then the new leader with the Operation Grim Beeper happened, right?
Sinwar or whatever it is. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. When you have you been traveling by ground from Armenia and all that, or did you fly?
Flew around to different countries. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah. I mean, how much have you traveled by car inside Lebanon?
Well, in Armenia, we went all over, and I saw, a lot of different monasteries. There's thousands of monasteries there, and thousands were destroyed by the Turks. It's an incredibly beautiful, just amazing scene. The monks that made these places, 2,000 years ago. It's just fascinating in Armenia, and all the churches and monasteries. In Lebanon, it's different. It's more Catholic focused. The Apostolic Church in Armenia is more Orthodox. There is a Catholic segment, but here it's the reverse. It's mostly Catholic, Maronite Catholic, and some Orthodox and some Protestant. But we've been driving around a good bit. I went up to the mountains a few days ago there was huge civil war here, as you mentioned in that clip. in the 70s, and guys were fighting for their families. They literally were militia, like Minutemen, grabbing their rifles and going out and fighting. And there's a memorial to a lot of the martyrs that died in that war up in among the cedars up in the mountains. They have made a really beautiful spot. You can find an article on armedforces.press with a lot of pictures. But there's also a memorial to the Marine bombing there, the 240-something U.S. Marines that died. So I didn't know that. And they have an anniversary where some of the wives of the soldiers that died come and they, have a ceremony around the plaque. And so it's fascinating because they still, a lot of these guys are very pro-American. So they're sensitive to the loss that the U.S. had in the Marine Corps bombing in Beirut.
Yeah, I think they know what the sacrifices we've made for people to live in peace, man. One of the things you said in the first segment, you mentioned that, hey, when we were kind of joking around, that it doesn't matter if you're a Christian here, nobody really cares what denomination and sect you are. And I don't know if we lost Todd or not, but if we haven't and you're still there, what made you get that impression? What did you observe or hear or see that gave you that impression? Because that's what I believe. I believe that if you're a real practicing Christian, no matter what your denomination is, then we all ought to be okay with it. Unless you're a fake Christian, that's different.
No, you mean I'm sorry, I missed you there for a minute. You mean in Armenia, or where were you talking about?
Well, when we were joking around earlier, you were like, hey, around here, if you're a Christian, nobody really cares where you're from as far as like your denomination and those kind of things. I think that all Christians that are real Christians should be that way.
They told me that. I didn't ask them. I was asking about, how the different sects interact, and they said, yeah, there's other Christian parties, and there's Protestant, and there's Orthodox, and there's Catholic, and he's like, but Christian is Christian. And several of them told me this. If you're Christian, we're on the same team, essentially. So that's the way they believe. There are some animosities between some of the parties in the past, but that was due to, I think, power struggles, because a lot of the Christians are paid by other nations to do certain things. So there is some of that subversive element that we've seen in the U.S., actually, where you're working for another government or whatever, and in the policy of what your party. You look at the Democrats, or look, they're not working for America. So there's some of that going on, but for the most part, I mean, these people have been. I can tell you, there's a marked difference between the Christian countries I've been in and the Muslim countries I've been in the last 2 months.
I mean, just the Shia Sunni struggle tells a whole story about the Muslim faith and Islamism, and all the different little viral infections that stir from that. We don't see much. I mean, we saw some stuff in Northern Ireland between Protestants and Catholics that was pretty bad, but it's never been really widespread in modern times, anyway. Not in modern times.
True.
Well, I'm going to take a question real quick before we take this last break. Yeah, let's go ahead and take that question, Shell.
We have fed up, sir. Yeah, you mentioned Nigeria, and I guess my question's kind of a two-part. With Nigeria, with the Russian Orthodox Church is expanding pretty big in Africa, do you think we might be able to, once this other peace agreement hopefully gets done, maybe work with Russia some to secure some of those countries? And I guess the second idea on that, Nigeria and the Congo are number 7 and 8 in the amount of aid we give, almost $1 billion a year each. Could we use that, leveraging that possibly to help secure what's going on with the Christians to help out in those two countries?
Well, I firmly believe there needs to be a bigger and stronger and more peaceful relationship between us and the Russians. I think there's a natural alliance there, not at the least of which is that we're both majority Christian countries. And yes, the Orthodox Church is spreading rapidly in the U.S. I mean, I think I didn't see, I don't have the exact numbers, but young men under 30 are flocking to the Orthodox churches in all the different strains of them. And I know, and I had another guy in Armenia tell me, you know, the Russians do a lot of good. They just don't talk about it. They don't go in the news media and tell everybody what they've done. They don't put up plaques. He said they're not very good at PR, but they've done, he said they've done some really good stuff in Armenia for the population. So I'm hopeful, and I think Trump, you know, he's all business, and I think we're going to see some big business deals and further some, and maybe the Alaska connection through the Bering Strait, and, you know, all of that natural wealth that Alaska and Siberia have. There's probably a lot to be done there. I hope it's done. And yes, I do think the Russians could be a big help in Africa. They have a big presence there. If we can stop fighting each other, then, you know, maybe we could work together on some of these issues.
Yeah, and the historical facts prove that when we work together, we do a lot of good. I mean, even when the Russians were communists, we could still do good. I mean, World War II, obviously, is the big one there, but there were other smaller efforts throughout our histories together. So yeah, I'm hopeful that that's the case. Also, we got to take our last break. When we come back, we'll hear from Father Tony Boutros. He's a representative of the Greek Catholic Church in Sweden, Syria. I'm going to read what he says because he's not talking in English. We'll be right back with Todd Wood.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
نحن مانا أقليات، نحن مكونات من البلد السوري هذا.
Components of the Syrian country. We have been here for hundreds of years. People, we are our Druze, partners, and Christians. We ask the U.S., Europe, the Vatican, and the whole world for international protection of Sweden, for us and all of our Druze brothers. And we condemn the Syrians. We are advocates of peace. We reject takfir. All of this, and we want international protection. We want to stay in our homes with our Catholic and our Druze brothers. We are one, we coexist, living together for hundreds of years, and we will not leave our homes and our land. We demand international protection from the whole world. Look at us. Look at Sweden. Look at the massacres that happened to us, and thank all the people who want to help us and stand with us. That was Father Tony Boutros, representative of the Greek Catholic Church in Sweden, Syria, from not long ago. And my guest today is coming to us from Beirut, Lebanon, L. Todd Wood, CEO of CDM Press, covering the reality of Christian genocide. Todd, I wanted to show that from the Father, because it's important to hear from people that are on the ground that are, and one of the things that struck me was that he emphasized, we have lived with our Druze brothers for hundreds of years, peacefully. We work together, we live together, and we just want to stay in our homes and be left alone.
Well, I have had, as I said, a lot of meetings with political leaders here that are on the Christian side, the Free Patriotic Movement. And they're telling me, look, I mean, we need to be able to protect ourselves once again. We had militias in the past, we disarmed, but you know, it may get to that again, because they're just literally being massacred. In Syria, they were massacred by the government the United States helped put in. Let's just be frank. and there wasn't a
That's
peep
true.
out of the White House. Why
That's
is this?
true. That's true.
I mean,
And that's very frustrating.
So, I mean, what if it was your daughter on a trip and she's raped and killed and skinned alive and crucified? They were crucifying a lot of Christians in Soweto earlier in the year, or was it late last year? I don't remember when they came in and did those massacres after Galani took power. So it's a problem, right? I mean, it's a problem. So I would like to see more, at least bully pulpit action. You know, Trump's good at threats, you know, he knows how to make stuff happen. So protect the Christians, not just other ethnic regions of the Middle East.
Yeah, and as I was researching the show, I came across some information about Turkey and the territory that it wants, and the map that Erdogan is talking about when he's talking about the oath from the old Ottoman Empire days. And it includes that strip you referred to earlier in northern Syria, where the Aramaic-speaking Christians all still live in a very small sliver of land. You know,
not anymore.
Let's put it to use that Turkey is a NATO country and put pressure on them. The president's, like you said, very good at negotiating, and say, look, you're going to protect these areas. You know, I mean, that was one of the reasons why Gabbard was opposed to getting Assad removed from power, is because at least under that government, the minority ethnicities were protected, and now they're not. And we helped put the government in. That's allowing the slaughter.
I'll throw another inconvenient truth bomb your way. Guess who was protecting the Christians in Syria from the murderous Daesh ISIS forces? It was Hezbollah, the Iranian proxy army. So I know that for a fact. I saw the videos today. I saw battle footage. I talked with survivors. They're like, and the leader of the Free Patriotic Movement is still sanctioned by the U.S. government because they had to align with Hezbollah against the murderous ISIS factions that the U.S. supported. So go figure. How does that happen? I mean, obviously they did it for survival. Right. You know, they had made an alliance with these people militarily for survival, and which you do from time to time. I mean, we worked with Stalin, you know. So
after he was an ally, declared ally, and war partner with Hitler.
So why is this guy still sanctioned by the U.S. government, who's the leader of the biggest Christian party in Lebanon?
That's a good question.
I think that was done by the Biden regime, and, you know, Trump should fix it.
That's a good question. That's breaking news, too. I'd not heard that, that some of these Christians had to get protection from Hezbollah. And it surprises me that they did it.
Well, when your wife's going to get skinned alive, I mean, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah, it just surprises me that the Hezbollah crowd agreed to protect them. That's shocking.
Well, that was and I was told that the Christians have pretty much a free reign in Iran. I didn't know that. I'm going to investigate that.
Yeah, we need to look into that. Absolutely.
So I know the Jews are left alone in Iran. So I need to look more into the Christian side of things.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I found that fascinating myself.
I think I've got one more hand in the audience. Let's take that question before we get to the end of the show. Shell?
America.
Hi, thank you. Is the money system over there kind of like America, or is it, I mean, can you actually loan money and the usury thing, does that work over there in Lebanon?
Yeah, they have a westernized financial system. They don't have Islamic finance. I know what you're talking about. It's in the Christians, you know, here's another thing. The Christians make most of the money in Lebanon. Their economies, as you had the guest on, the lady who said we built a strong economy. That's true. It's being weakened now, but the Christians make most of the money, and they pay it into the government, but the Muslims don't pay much into the government, and they get all the services. So it's a huge wealth redistribution going on right now in Lebanon as well.
Yeah, and how big is the so there's 40%, so 60% majority of Muslims. do the Christians have any representation at all in the government?
They do. There's supposed to be a 50-50 governmental agreement, but I was told, if they're hiring 10 ministers for the Transportation Authority, it'll be 8-2 or 9-1 or something like that in reality at the end of the day. So they're holding on to power like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very interesting. So what's next for you, Todd?
Heading back to the U.S., we're doing a lot of reporting on this issue. Where Ukraine has been huge, and by the way, you and I have been right on that for years now, and that's coming to light. Rob, did you see that there was an announcement, and it was on Disclosed TV? Ukraine, there was some hacks into the Ukrainian systems. They've lost 1.7 million men in the war, 600,000 this year alone. That's not what we've been told by our government, not by Trump, not by Cavoli, not by any of these people. They've been lying to us. I don't think Trump's lying. He's just being lied to. But these officers in our military who have lied to us about what's going on in Ukraine, there needs to be some damn accountability here. I mean, we were told a week ago that it was 10-1. Russians are losing 10-1. That's insane.
Yeah.
Now we know the truth.
Those numbers are crazy. I mean, you and I have been talking about that, and some others like Daniel Davis and Doug McGregor. We've been saying that all along, and then the kid leaked the classified information. And I'll say it again: don't leak classified information. Find a way to be a whistleblower in the classified world and get it out that way. But the slides actually showed long ago what the ratios really were, and we're going to end up. I think we'll end up being right about it. But that's not what's important. What's important is the Ukrainian people's population going forward is they're going to have worse birth rate decline because no young men are going to want to go there. The young women are going to leave to try to find young men if they even still want to have a family. I mean, it's going to be devastating for that country, even more than it already is, isn't it?
Well, let's talk pattern recognition. If you wanted to destroy Christianity, how about a war between two major Christian countries on the Asian continent and massively depopulate, lie about the numbers, keep the war going as long as possible? To me, it's very, very obvious what's going on here. That's
certainly what the facts support, what you're saying. It's unbelievable, but the facts support it. I try to go with the facts, and just like we've been right about the president, once he got face to face with Putin, this machine called peace will start rolling. Now I'm just concerned about the disruptors behind the scenes, both on his team, outside of his team, on the other team across the Atlantic. All of that machinery is predisposed to oppose President Trump being successul in this. You know who's hurt the most by that right now is the Ukrainian kids that are dying.
We have not helped them at all. We've hurt them in ways that we can't even describe.
Yeah. When you heard Putin say this war, I wanted to just confirm that this war would not have started had you been president of the United States, President Trump. How did you feel about that? Because we've been saying that. He's been saying it too, but we've been saying that all along.
I think I was just like, yeah, we know that. But what got me was when he went to the cemetery and laid the flowers on the graves of the Russians who died in the Lend-Lease program against Hitler in Alaska, and then talked to the patriarch of the Alaskan church. So hold on one second. 1 second, please. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting interrupted here, Rob.
That's all right. Well, I appreciate you joining us, Todd. Tell folks where they can find you, and just 20 seconds about what you asked me to share, spread far and wide yesterday, which I have been working on doing that, but I want my folks to engage in it.
So we were deplatformed off X advertising for being too political. We're a news organization. They want us to say we're a PAC. I'm not going to do that. I find that disgusting. So, please spread the word on X, and Elon, if you're listening, reinstate our advertising rights, please. And you can find us on cdm.press, and I'm at ltoddwood.com. I'm on X at real_ltoddwood. So please follow us. Put us in your daily scan, cdm.press. We appreciate it.
All right, brother. Stay safe. Do good work. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Getting more of this great, excellent reporting. Nobody else is doing it. Thank God we have Americans like L. Todd Wood that's willing to put it out there and do the right thing. Tomorrow, Truth Thursday, my guest is Darren Selnick. He's a senior advisor to the group Veteran Action. I had the leader of that and the founder of that on not too long ago, but also the former Deputy Chief of Staff to the Secretary of Defense, Hegseth. One of those guys, and also served in the Department of Veterans Affairs. We're going to talk about what the challenges are in the Department of Veterans Affairs, because we still have some challenges. There's a bill out there I want you guys to get behind and support. We'll talk about that tomorrow, too. I'm excited to get Darren on the show. It's going to be fantastic. So join us tomorrow right here on Worldview Tube.
But with Brandon, it's always cutting edge stuff happening in the world, and it's not just from the political angle, because you can get that on other platforms, but it's always from the biblical angle. So you're dealing with a guy that loves Jesus. You're dealing with a guy that's very